Hello YouTube, this is Charlie426, and today we have the review of the Premium Bandai exclusive, or P-Bandai exclusive, RG or Real Grey Gundam Mark II Limited Color Edition, or limited color version. Now this is the exact same build, or the exact same kit as the normally released RG Mark II. The only difference is the fact its color pattern. The color pattern, as you can see, is more based on the RX-78. So some people call this version the Amuro Ray version. So anyway, these are one of those recolor kits. So if you're not really into it, it's okay to pass. You're not missing out too much. The only reason I'm getting this is, because my channel reviews is Premium Bandai kits, and I originally did not own any real great Gundam Mark IIs. Hence, I decided to get this one. Also, I'm just trying to get myself a little bit more familiar or used to RGs, because I am interested in getting the upcoming real grade Johnny Ridden's Zaku 2. So anyway, as usual, I will be going on my routine. So first of all, what you get, of course, is the mobile suit itself, and you do get a red small pilot figurine that's not Camille or Amuro Ray, just a random pilot figure A. So let me just put that back. For the sticker decals, you get your typical RG-ish sticker decal. I know these because this is technically my third. My first being the RG Zeta Gundam, which was terrible. Second, the Premium Bandai exclusive RG Zgog mass production type. And finally, this is the third one. The one I use is the eyes that only has the black outlines, and then the camera stickers that goes onto the weapons, head, and whatsoever. And beyond this, you get this one, an additional sticker decal sheet, which has the Amuro Ray A symbols with the unicorn symbols, which also represents Amuro Ray. So you get 3 of these, one that just looks like an A, 2 of them that has the unicorn head looking ish thing. You get 3 different sizes and different colors. You get a white one and a red one. I basically use the middle size one for the shoulder, and the large unicorn red one for the shield. Okay, beyond that, before I go into the actual components, I'm going to show you guys what are the leftover pieces. Number one is this shield piece. You get 2 A plates, not exactly the same 2 A plates, but partial of the A plate. So you get a red version, you get a blue version. So since the shield uses the red part, you have the blue left over. And here is the 360 cockpit section. Oddly enough, they did consider using a different color version of this. The one that goes onto the kit is a blue color version, so you have the red ones as leftovers. You have these parts, this part for the shield, you have for the chin and the V-fin connecting part, so those come in blue as well. You have this part, which the cockpit section, you usually have to use the blue one for this color. Oddly enough, you do get a second faceplate, or mouthpiece, or whatever you call it, and you have some red shoulder parts, and finally some red body section. So it's really up to you. I follow the instruction manuals. It's really up to you that you can make any interesting color variation if you want to do so. So if you bought more than one, then you have a lot of options to do with this kit. So let me get rid of the separate parts. There we go, and let's go on with its actual components. Now, first of all, sorry for the messy intro, but first of all, you get 2 long beam saber effects, which I will be only demonstrating with one. The 2 beam saber hilts are on the backpack, as you can see. For the ammo clips, you get 3 in total. Well, for the beam rifle, you get 3 in total. 2 is on the shield, 1 is a separate leftover, and 1 goes onto the actual beam rifle. So that's not 3, but 4. So here's 2 of them. Here's another one, and there's the last one that goes onto the beam rifle. And currently, they do give you a trigger finger or a trigger hand, which I will be demonstrating because I don't really like the individually articulated fingers, to be honest. So we have the beam saber, we have the hyper bazooka. Or if that is, what's it called? I'm kind of getting a little bit confused, but you have the bazooka. Well, it's definitely better color separated than the HG versions. And then we have the extra ammo clip. And let's see, we have the action-based connector piece right over here. And lastly, we have the hands. Now, currently, I'm using one fist type. I'm currently both using the fist on the kit. There's one trigger finger that's attached to the beam rifle. You have two. You get one open hand for the left side, and you have these articulated hands for each hand, which I will admit I'm pretty impressed. But yeah, I'm not gonna be demonstrating. But I would like to tell you that they do move as well. You can they basically do this the trigger finger thing. The sum does move individually. The hands, these things are actually attached to each other. So this one's technically a single piece. So that's that, and these hands do have the holes for the weapon pegs that are on the weapon. So if you do manage to use these, no need to worry about stability on the weapon holding because they will peg into here. So that's that. But I personally am not a big fan of those articulated fingers, even for master grades. So what? Okay, now let's look at the articulation itself. Okay. Let's look at the head. Once again, the color scheme is pretty much the ARC 78, so which means the inside eyepiece is a clear piece, but in yellow. I'm not sure if I would have to assume that the original Mark II comes in green. So for head articulation, if you have these headphones on or the additional Vulcan pod on, you can't really move too much. So I'm gonna detach them right away, and just to make sure I don't break the V-fin. Now, originally, I believe this round section has to be red, or it could be just for the Barzan, but I'm a little bit confused. But I remember this having a little bit more color, and that's one sticker I used. The antenna does not move, just a fragile looking antenna. Okay, now let's look at the head. The head, well, pretty much the Gundam Mark II's head. The only difference would be, I guess, would be the eye color. Once again, mentioning it's the same yellow piece as you see here. The head articulation pretty similar as the HGs. It can go down that much, up that much, and 360 should be possible with no problem at all. Also, the V-fins, they don't have those what they call those safety nubs, so they do feel a little bit fragile, so be careful. Okay, now for the arms. Let's go with the arms first. As mentioned, I use one of these stickers on here. The arms itself can go to the side. Okay, here's the thing. The shoulders, they're not actually attached. They're more like clipped on. They're more like clipped onto the pieces, so they will pop out if you're not really careful. So without the shoulder, you can go to the side that much, about 90 degrees. So let me reattach those. So with the shoulder, I guess you can still manage to do so. Just be careful not to break anything or not to let anything pop. And with a little bit more, if you know what you're doing, you can still go a little bit more up higher. So that's definitely better than the HG version, I guess. Of course, this piece somehow is moving separately, so you need to readjust that if you're going to do that. So for the articulation bending, you have a double jointed bend, and you have your typical 360 twist here. But since the frames are pre-built and most of these frames are really stiff, so you might need to loosen a little bit if you want to do more proper stuff. And your hands are your typical ball jointed hands. The shoulders do move a little bit backward and forward if you want to do so, like that. And that's pretty much it for the arms. So now let's look at the backpack. Now the backpack, or some of the part of the kits, uses these cables, these shoelaces. Those who built the Master Grade version of this would know. But the only difference is that usually the Master Grade version only uses these cable, if I remember correctly. This one actually gives you another extra wire to put inside these cables, so they're not like floppy and such. So they're not floppy, they still have their like solid connecting look onto it, and because of that you can actually move the backpack like this. The old HG versions, or the revived version, I believe is not capable of doing this. So that's that, and you have this part you can take out and reveals a hole, which I assume is for the parts for the Super Gundam parts. Okay, now that's that. Now let's look at the body. The body, I really do like the color scheme of this. The cockpit does open, I believe, but not really too easily. I mean, I'm surprised they even managed to do that. There we go. The cockpit does open, but there is no pilot inside. It's technically empty. And then you have these two yellow clear pieces. So that's pretty much it for the body gimmick. For the articulation, first of all, you do have a decent ab crunch. You can go forward, and backward like that. 360, oh boy, 360 not possible, and you just saw one of the thrusters pop out from the backpack. I'm gonna have to find that later. It dropped, but it's one of these thrusters. These thrusters are individually connected to a ball joint, so just be careful not to force them as well. Okay, that's that for the main body, and you do have some side movements like this, but don't overdo it. Overdoing is never a good thing on a kit. Okay, for the front skirt and back skirt, or waist section, the front skirts are individual pieces as well. You can go forward that much. The back skirt, also a little bit movement. Now, I wouldn't, oh boy. Now, I wouldn't go too far or it's going to pop off, so not going to do that. And the side skirts can move a little, quite decent. And the side skirts do have these holes for either, you can attach these extra ammo clips like this for the bazooka. Come on. Oh, wrong hole. There we go. You can attach it like this, or it can technically do the beam rifle, I believe, which I believe this was also possible for the master grade. However, because of the lengths, it's kind of tricky, but it still technically works. Okay, now that's that. Now let's look at the articulation for the legs. The legs can go, ooh, that's a stiff. It can go forward about 90 degrees, really stiff. It has a double joint, and you can see that there is some movement going on with the armor pieces. So that's that. You can go a double bend and can go to the side 90 degrees, and technically it does have a side swivel. So that's that. And the feet are, how should I say it? I wouldn't say ball joints, but they're connected to this joint, which it's kind of difficult to mention or tell. So the feet, they do move, but only the down section moves. This part doesn't actually move, but yeah, still decent, and the feet can actually bend. So this means this is capable of, or at least compatible with a certain armor, which I will mention at the end. Okay, now we've seen its basic articulation. Now let's look at its functions, or accessories. Oh boy, it's getting hot. Okay, before I start, let me just get rid of the bazooka holding gimmick. As if you built the master grade version, you should be aware that you can pretty much attach the bazooka like this, and there you go. And let's look at its weapons, or yeah, as I mentioned, I'm going to only demonstrate with the trigger finger. The trigger finger, it holds the beam rifle, not too shabby at all. You can take out the ammo clips, and the rifle is in its correct colors, or at least it has some other color separations instead of being a whole gray piece. So that's that. The only issue I'm having with this rifle is that its scope is a little bit loose. So there's a sticker right over there, but it keeps falling down, or at least it's kind of loose. So that's that, and you have this additional handle. Okay, now we have the hand. This hand is pretty much like the similar HG type hand where you have to separate these to attach a new weapon. So these weapons have these pegs going on, and there's a hole on the hand. There we go. So we have this. Holding, the kid can hold its bazooka with no problem at all thanks to the moving handle. And there we go. We have the handle. It looks a little bit bent, but that can be always arranged. I mean, it's all a matter of adjusting the right position. There we go. Not too bad. And finally, now I assume that the beam saber is technically also compatible with those hands, but it's like a tight fit for the beam saber. So let me get rid of the bazooka. And then, let's see, because the beam saber also has these pegs, and the individually articulated fingers also have those holes for the weapon, so it does fit, but it's like a really tight fit. Oh boy, I did this in upside down, didn't I? Sorry about that. There we go. So this thing has like a really tight fit. If you can see properly, oh, I hate this camera. It's not exactly fitted. There's a little bit gap there, so that's a little bit downside, but it holds the weapon with no problem at all. And there you go, it holds it. Okay, that's pretty much it for its accessories, and I mentioned that you can attach the beam rifle or its extra ammo clips as well. And oh, one more thing about the shield. The shield looks extremely nice. The only interesting part is that you only have one peg that goes onto the arms. So that's that. You have this part, which isn't really to mention well, but those are the missile launchers. So the way how this works is that there's a hole behind the arms. You can just attach that easily. There we go. So because of this gimmick, it's really tight. Well, it's a pretty secure feeling, so no need to worry about being wobbly. But I do wish there was another attachment here so it has a more firm connection. But thanks to this, you can pretty much pull out all sorts of poses, and this part is actually connected as a ball joint, so you can pretty much move it around if you want to do so. But since it's really stiff, I'm not going to recommend it right away. And also, you can technically fold the shield if you want it, so that's pretty nice. Okay, now we've seen its accessories and stuff. Now I did mention that I'm going to show what this is. So basically, now, because of the cables can move the backpack like this, and the feet is able to fold, if you have the extra HG version, not the non-P-Bandai, which is, I believe is the exact same thing, this thing, the real grade Mark IIs are now technically like capable or compatible with these flying armors. And since this thing has better articulation, or at least I think it does, you should be able to pull out a little bit more better poses. Of course, not too much, because you still need to bend a decent amount. So yeah. Anyway, that's pretty much it for the review of the Premium Bandai exclusive Real Grade Gundam Mark II limited color version. If you already have a Real Grade Mark II, you're not missing out. This is basically a color swap, so nothing too special. I just happen to not own any Real Grade Mark IIs, and I decided to go for this since someone was selling this for even cheaper. So yeah, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the review, please like my videos and subscribe to my channel. I have more kits to buy and build, so please stay tuned. If I got anything wrong, leave a comment below. If you guys got any requests, leave a comment below as well. Until then, see you guys next time.